Hi, in the previous video we talked about converting FS9 Gmax materials, or models, I'm sorry, to FSX native Gmax models. So if you're a developer and you've got a lot of Gmax, FS9 Gmax material out there, you'd like to move to FSX native Gmax models, a previous video summarized the steps, the tools involved in getting that done. So after thinking about the previous video, I'm thinking, okay, a little less talk and a lot more action. So I thought, since I'm just started converting my next model over, that I would walk you through part of the process as we discussed in the previous video. So why not? Let's do that. All right. I showed you a list before, which I've kind of converted to a PDF here to make it a little more readable. And I thought we'd just kind of walk through this and some of the steps I've already done, but show you what I've done and how I did it, and maybe that'd make you a little more comfortable with the process rather than just reading words. So the first thing we talked about was the SDK setup. Obviously, I'm not going to go through that for you, but hopefully you've got that installed already, or if not, you've gone over to FS Developer here to read up on their wiki in their tools section, and make sure you got your your FSX setup done correctly, and if so, then you are ready to rock and roll with us. Alright, let's scroll down here a bit. We talked about keeping your FS9 project Gmax work separate from the FSX native side, and I've gone through those steps. I've created a new Gmax FSX folder, and let's see if I can find it here. Yeah, here it is. I had the FS9 folder, which I put all the old FS9 work in. I had some even older work because this aircraft was actually originally done in 2003 or 4, but I have upgraded it over the years to latest standards. Well, now we're upgrading to FSX standards, well, at least making it work and be more compliant to FSX standards, I put it that way. And so I created a folder, and then I copied in the last most current Gmax file from the FS9 folder and plugged that in here, and that's what I started with. And you can see I've already made some progress. I renamed all the FS9 materials. I reset all the scales. I set a GUI ID friendly name, and I started on the FS9 standard animations, which are non-keyframed animations. And I was in that process when I decided, wait, let's go back and do a video on this to show you guys how to do it, or show you how I do it. Everybody's got their methods, I guess. So you can see that that part is done. All right. So we've got this part done. I then went to copied my FS9 aircraft project, or copied my FS9 aircraft folder to the FSX planes folder. And let's see if I can find that here. Yeah, here we are. So you'll see down here AC560 FSX, if you can read that. And you can see that I've set that up in here. And then part of what we talked about was setting up your model folder with an exterior and interior model and changing the model config file. Well, that's what I did here. I essentially started out just duplicating the exterior model and changing the copied name to AC560_interior, and then you must modify the model file to reflect those names. Alright, the model config file. So that part is done. So we're good to go there. So what's next? Create a common texture folder. Well, I already closed that, but we'll open it back up. Create a common texture folder. And you don't have to do that right now, but I went ahead and did it. I took all the textures that used to have to belong in each and every livery of an FS9 aircraft and moved them over to a common texture folder that's going to be shared by all liveries. These textures are unchanged across those three liveries, so those are the ones that we'll later convert to FSX materials. Alright, so that part is done. So I now have my FSX aircraft container file and folder set up and ready to go. Okay, and I have my Gmax source separated into a FSX Gmax source folder so I don't get it confused with the FS9 side. And so that prep work is all done. So we get into the basic process here, refamiliarizing yourself with the FS9 aircraft Gmax source. So it's been a while since you've been in it. You want to know how did you leave it structured? Do you have separate exterior and interior models, or do you just have an exterior model that you modify slightly to make an interior model? Well, let's see what I have here. Let's unhide. Well, let's go ahead and hide everything, and then we'll take a look at it. Here I have an exterior model. Good, got to have that. And if you actually, an easy way is just to select that. You can see we don't go all the way down here. So, and I do have a separate interior model. So it's important when you have these both in the same scene, and I always keep them in the same scene. I just am very careful that when you're doing things that you make sure you're working with the right parts and the right model. And once you get used to that process, it's not a problem having them in the same scene. For the conversion, it's absolutely essential that you have them in the same scene, because when you go to apply your new FSX materials and do a select materials by or select parts by material name, you want to be changing the exterior and the interior model parts at the same time. You don't want to go through the process twice of selecting. So we know we have two models here, exterior and interior. Okay, so we've got that. We're going to go ahead and unhide the exterior model now and center that up and see what's next on the list. So we know what we've got. We've got an interior and an exterior model, so that means a little bit more work, because you're going to have to duplicate this process of animating the standard FS9 non-keyframe animated parts. It's not that bad. It's only about 10, 15 parts. Well, there's actually more than that, but it doesn't take too long to go through it. Those are actually pretty quick. Most of the parts are animated anyhow, but we'll pay the price. This is an older model I did, and back in the days of slower computers, it was important to keep your poly counts down and what have you. So it was broken up into two separate parts, two separate models. So anyhow, we know we have two models and we can proceed. The next thing on the list is renaming FS9 materials, deleting old unused ones. I've already done that, but I'm going to show you what I did. And I used the ZZ prefix when I did the rename to push all those FS9 materials to the bottom. So once I start creating materials, I'm not stumbling through FS9 and FSX to figure out what's next. So we'll take a look at that now. Let's pull up the editor, and let's see, I already have the navigator open, so let's not do that. That's a bit overwhelming and off screen, so now we got it back in here. Okay, remember when you pull this up, usually maps, show maps is on, so you don't have to worry about the maps right now. You only want to worry about the materials, so you can hide them when you don't need them. And we just have a straight list here of all the materials in this project. Now there are a lot of them because this is an old model, and I used a lot of small textures, so a lot of small materials. It's not ideal in FSX to have this because of draw calls, but in the three that in the two that I've converted like this, I had absolutely no issues with draw calls. They were They ran about 40, 41 or something like that, but because the textures are so small, they always stay in memory. So, it's instant stuff. I saw absolutely no effect on frame rates. So, as long as the textures are small and they're not getting kicked out, swapped out of memory, it's not going to have an impact on you. So I'm going to let it ride for this, but you can see I've renamed all the materials with a ZZ prefix, so they're all ready. So I'm ready to get rocking and rolling there. Now all I did to rename was double click, and that places it over here in the material editor, and I come over here and place my cursor and just add ZZ in front of the name. It doesn't affect anything, doesn't affect the project or anything else, just changing the name. It's just a way of keeping things organized. So it's simple to do. It takes a few minutes if you got as many materials as I have here. But fortunately, my later projects are not like this. But like I said, it doesn't take too long to do. So not a big deal. So all those are changed, and so they're ready when we get to the materials creation stage. So we're good to go there. Okay, next on the list is what? Got them. Oh, there were some old and unused, unassigned, no materials not assigned to parts. There was about, probably 8 or 10 that I deleted out of that project, out of that list. So it's all cleaned up, ready to go. Only the materials I need moving forward is on the list, or on the list now. So we're good to go. Next thing in the list was resetting scales. And I had some that I changed. Fortunately, none were affecting animated parts, but or animated hierarchy parts that are in hierarchies where animated parts exist. I should put it that way, I guess. So let's go back to Gmax here and just refresh you on what that was all about. What you want to do when you do this is unhide all of your parts so that you can see them all in the graph editor, in the track view. So we're going to open track view, and we're going to have to set this up again because I set it up before. We're going to open this up here to full screen on the video so you can see it. We're going to go up and close off the things that we don't need here. You may recall we did this in the previous video. We're going to knock off materials, and there's a lot of stuff in there. And we're going to select none in this list, and we're okay on visible objects because we have everything unhidden, so we should be good. Okay, so here's a list of all the parts. Now, we can't do much with that list because we don't see any detail here. So if you just go up to and right click on objects and say expand all, you see all these things now unravel, and we can see the scaler we're looking for over here, transform scale. And the idea now is that once you have this list, is just to scroll down to the list and make sure you have nothing of importance that is not 100, 100, 100 in the XYZ axes. So notice I have a curtain here. Curtains aren't animated. Nothing in that hierarchy is animated, so I didn't bother changing them. It's not a problem. Same thing here. So, but you do have to look at them. If there's anything in a hierarchy that's got animations in it, it needs to be corrected. So I just went down through here, and here's you see these bars here. These are animation keyframe. That's what they represent. 0 down here, 0 to 100. That's the door passenger is animated to open and close over 0 to 100. So when you see this, anything in the hierarchy of this, above this door passenger needs to be corrected if it's not 100, 100. Now notice I have a curtain, another one of those silly curtains down here that is needing correcting. So we'll go ahead and correct it. In this case, because door passenger is higher in the hierarchy, it's not going to affect it, but I want to change it for you anyhow. So how do we change it? Let me just pull this down so we can get to some stuff over here and close up this a little bit so we can see what we're getting at. Okay, we're going to go looking for curtain PD01, whatever that means. I know, I developed it and I named it, but I don't remember. So CURTAIN PD01, there it is. We're going to select that bad boy. And we're going to come over here and hit hierarchy, select the hierarchy button, and we're going to affect pivot only, and we're going to reset scale. Now before I do that, keep an eye on this 85, 85, 85. When I click scale now, boom, it changes it to 100. So that's the process in doing it. Let's do one more just so you are comfortable. We're going to check down and make sure these levers are animated. As you see, these are cockpit levers for the landing gear and flaps, etc. And notice the knob is not it's not an animated item, but it's attached to an animated item, and later on I'm actually going to make this a part of that. So I need to change land gear knob. So let's go find that land gear knob, and we'll select that puppy, and we're going to go over here and just reset scale, and that corrects that. So you go on down the list. There's a mix knob. So we're going to do a mix knob, and you'll see a mix knob 0 and a mix knob 1. They probably both need changing, but anyhow, so that's the process you go through. It's fairly quick. It just takes a little time if you got a lot of parts, and this aircraft doesn't have a lot of parts. Got about around 500 or so. And of course, if you got two models pretty much alike, you're talking about 1,000 parts, but there's not that many that you have to worry about. Just the ones around the animated hierarchies you need to correct, and these non-animated parts, fuse, back panel, etc. You don't really have to worry about. It's not in a hierarchy with an animated part. So, but you need to be careful on these. Here's a glare shield that can be corrected. Doesn't have to be. It's not attached to hierarchy or any animated parts. So we're good to go there. All the animated parts are good. Animated parts are good. So you can zip down through here pretty quickly and be looking for those animated parts. Here's a animated part, but it's good. And these are good. So I think you get the gist of that while you're here, and once you've changed those settings, you can change the name of this to scale check or something. And that way you can just click on that when you pull it up, and it will come up in this format. So we're good to go there. Okay, so we've got the scales reset, that part of the process. The next thing in the process is to set the GUI ID or friendly name. And we talked about going to FS Tools, the LOD name, and create a friendly name. So any name is okay. So let's just do that. Here's your FS Tools button. And here's the LOD name. Now let me select a part here just for grins and giggles. Select the exterior part. We're not selecting subtree here. So we go here, create a LOD name, and we want to get and set the GUI ID and friendly name. So we're going to say create a new GUI ID for this file. And it pops up with the name of the file that we're working on. So that's acceptable. Anything's acceptable. So that part is done. That's how simple that step is. I wish they were all such. Huh? Okay, so now we get down to finding the standard FS9 parts that are not keyframe animated. So we have to go through and select them out. And if you've been developing for FS9, you know exactly what they are. Left flap, right flap, center, left, right tire. Strange I wrote that way. Still, and there's also a blurred option. I only ever use still, but that's okay. And then your anything related to the prop spinners and the prop blades, if you have them animated with prop pitch, the elevator, the rudder, the ailerons, those kinds of things, you have to find and unhide, which I have done as necessary, and keyframe animate those, and we'll go through that process right now. Okay, so I actually selected these prior to the video to make things go a little faster. And we're going to hide unselected. Okay, these are the parts in the exterior model that need addressing, not the wing, of course, not the vertical tail, of course. I left these in here for reference, so when you're changing the others, sometimes it's good to have a reference against which you're changing. And we're going to go ahead and freeze them so we don't accidentally select them and move them. Okay, what I have left here are the two elevator trim tabs, the rudder, and the rudder trim tab. Okay, and then out on the wing, I've got the left aileron, and I've got two flaps because I have slotted flaps. So I got an outer left flap and an inner left flap. And I have a tire down here that needs to be animated. And I have actually three spinners here. Oh, I'm sorry, I only unhid one of them. I'm not going to take you through a repetitive process. I only did the still prop spinner and the three prop blades attached to them because they are animated to so that you can feather them. And also, as you are changing your prop pitch in flight, you can, well, hopefully you won't see them turn in flight, but anyhow, when you see them still, a lot of times you shut down, they're in a kind of a feathered position. And then before you start, you want them in a fine position. So those are the parts I'm going to try to run through here if we have enough time here and I don't outrun my ability to maybe we'll just do this side but then have that side for reference. So now that we have the parts identified in the exterior model, at least the left sides, we'll see what we need to do with them. Let's go back to the guide here. We're going to keyframe these standard FS9 parts. So we've got those unhidden. So the next job here is to do that. So there's a couple things you'll need when you go to animate the rudders and the ailerons and the flaps and what have you. And I guess I better pull that up now. Well, two things really. We're going to need this reference here to show where the part should be on frame 0 and where the part should be at neutral if it's an aileron, frame 50, and where the part should be if we're on 100 frames, where the part should be on frame 100. So we're going to use that as a guide when we do the animation. And we need one more thing, which let's see if I can pull it up right quick. Aircraft config file, and I'm only using this because I don't have let me pull it into the scene here. You can see it. And we're going to scroll down to this airplane geometry. The reason this is important is because I'm using it to tell me what my elevator up and down limits are, because that's what I'm going to animate to. 30 degrees up, 10.5 degrees down. Same thing with the ailerons, up limits and down limits. The rudder left and right limit is 25, and the elevator trim limit and the rudder trim limit. So I'm sorry, those are off camera here. Oops. Okay, so I pull those up for reference because when you go to animate these, you want to do it the right way. So make the sim match up with the animations. All right, so we've got that in tow. So I'm going to have to pause the video here. I got the sun in my eyes and I can't see what I'm doing. Hang on just a second. I'll be right back. Okay, there's a song called Don't Let the Stars Get in Your Eyes. Boy, that goes back a ways. And I think they should have done one, Don't Let the Sun Get in Your Eyes. Actually, the sun wasn't. It was the glare on my second monitor from the sun that's behind me coming through the back door. Anyhow, to make sure we get through this, I'm going to maybe a little bit sloppy here, but forgive me if I am, but we're going to go through the process anyhow. So what we're going to do now is position these parts where they should be for the we're going to work with the elevator here. So elevator needs to be on the start frame fully down. So we go over here and say elevator down limit is 10.6 degrees. So what I'm going to do is move the elevator down 6 point, whatever that was. That's why I got to keep this handy. Elevator down limit is 10.6 degrees. So we're going to go into rotate mode here and make sure we're in local coordinate mode, obviously, and we're going down 10.6 degrees, and we're watching the X scalar at the bottom, not the x-axis, I mean 10.6 degrees. Not used to talking and modeling at the same time. There we go. And of course you can do the other one at the same time while you're working here side by side. And 10.6. Good, we got those down. And now let's do the trim tabs. And the trim tabs you animate opposite of the elevator. So let's go get the trim tab data, elevator trim tab data. Trim limit is doesn't have an up and down, just one, 25 degrees. So we're going to rotate that up since we got the elevator down. Rotate that up 25 degrees. So let's roll that up. Okay, that one's done. And we'll rotate that up. Am I up or down here? 25 degrees. Should be zoomed in on this. Okay, so there I've got that work done. So now that I've got them there, we'll just go through the process and quickly add keyframes. So on the 0 keyframe, we're going to want a rotation key. And then on the 50, because these have an up and down and there's a neutral position, we need a 50 on a 100 keyframe setup. So we go to 50, add a position key. We go to 100. We're not animating now, we're just adding the keys so that we can. Okay, we have those 3 keys in place. So now we can actually animate the bad boy. I need to refresh my memory again. It's heck when you're getting old, but it's worse when you can't, when you don't live to be old. Let's see, we're on elevator, so elevator limits. Down limit was 10.6, so I need to come up 10.6 and then go up another 30. 10.6, oops, 10.6 and another 30. So we're going to click on animate, and we're going to go to the neutral. We're going to go up 10.6. If my keyboard to get out of the way of my mouse. There we go, 10.6. And we're going to go up another 30 on the upswing. So 30, 30, 30. Can we hit it? There we go. Alright, so that one's animated. And we'll do the same thing on the right side. Okay, there's no need for me to take the time to do that, but let's zoom in here a little bit so we can so you can see better. Alright, so we've got the elevator done. Let's select the trim tab. The trim tab was 25 degrees, right? So we're going to set the animation keys with a rotation scale at 0, a position key at 50, and at the end of the animation at 100, another position. So in this case, we're going to go bring this down to 25 to be neutral, and then we're going to take it another 25 for the opposite direction. So we're going to click the animate key. So here we go. So we're on 50, and now we're going to rotate. Notice we're still on the local coordinate here, so we'll rotate this down 25, and we're going to rotate it down farther 25. Okay, now we've got the left side animated. See how that works? That's exactly how that works in real life. Okay, we're not going to bother with the right side just in the interest of time, but we're going to go ahead now, since we're here and we've got this animated, and we're going to go ahead and apply the animation tool tags to it. So let's go up to FS Tools and pull down the Animation Manager. Okay, we're working on the elevator, so we need to find elevator in the list. Let's see if we can do that. Yeah. Okay, what do we use here? Elevator key or elevator percent key? That's where this bad boy comes in. For the elevator, we use the elevator key. Okay, so that's what we're going to do here. Select the elevator key, and our keyframes are 0 to 100, so we're going to put them in 0. Well, it helps to turn on the numeric lock. 0 tab 100 tab. We're going to create that animation tag, and now we got to attach it to the elevator, so we update selected. All right, and that's done. So the elevator now is fully converted from an FS9 standard animation to an FSX proper animation. Okay, we got that done. Let's go to the trim tab. And what do we need on trim tab? Elevator servo tab is trim tab, elevator key. So that's what we'll go find. Let's pull down the animation manager. And we're going to go to the bottom of the list here, near the bottom. Trim tab, elevator key is what we want. Our keyframes are 0 to 100, and they're all in place. So we're going to go 0 tab 100. And we'll tab off of that, and then we're going to create that tag, and then we're going to associate it with the trim tab. And that part's done. Okay, and there's nothing else to be done with this part. It doesn't need an attach point or anything like that. So, and you do the elevator the same way, animate it left and right, and just follow the guide. And I think you guys got a screenshot of this yesterday. Here's the rudder. It uses 100 keyframes, 0 to 100, with a neutral position in 50. Start frame is, oops, I'm on the wrong one. Rudder, full left. Neutral position is neutral, duh, and the end frame is full right, and we use rudder percent key. So it's done the same way. Animation Manager done the same way. So I won't bore you with a repetitive process here. So, and it's basically the same thing with these guys. So, you select the elevator, you animate it up and down, yada, yada, yada. Do it exactly the same way as we just did the elevator. So let's, so the aileron, there is a difference. The left and right ailerons have separate tags. So one is animated starting down, one is animated starting up. So when you go get your animation tags, you have to look for left aileron here and right aileron for the other side. That's the only difference. So let's do a flap, because flap's a little bit different. Only in the way you animate it, but let's do it anyhow. These flaps are 40 degrees, so let's go ahead and the starting position on flaps, if you look at here, is fully up, as if you're in flight, in cruise, whatever, and ending frame is full down. There is no neutral position, so all you need is keyframe 0 and 100. And we're going to use left flap percent key. So let's do this. First thing we'll do then is add a rotation key at 0 and move over to 100 and add a position key. So these are pretty simple. And once we have that done, we can go ahead and animate. So we're going to slide the slider over to 100, and then we're going to select, make sure we're in local coordinate mode, and we're going to rotate this down 40 degrees. That's the max flaps on this aircraft. 40 is right there. Okay, so that's animated. Boom, done. Some of these go fast when you don't have to work with those neutral guys. So let's pull up this, and we're going to look for, I think it's just this flap. Does it say left flap or flap? I can't recall. Flap. I guess it's left flap. Okay. Left flap, and I think we wanted to use percent key. So percent key, and its keyframes are 0 to 100. We're going to create that tag, and then we're going to associate it with left flap 01. So boom, that one's done. And of course we close that, and you do the second of the two slotted flaps exactly the same way. So those standard animations are done. You can see really how easy that is. Just takes a little time to go through it. Let's go to the left side here now and focus on the wheel, because it's wheel and tire, because it's different. Actually, the tire is animated and the wheel is a child of it, so it follows the tire animation. See, I'm doing this to figure out if I can just kind of zoom in here so you can see it better. All right, that's good enough, I guess. Okay, on anything that rotates 360 degrees or more, we need to set up multiple keyframes. Setting keyframes at 0, 50, and 100 doesn't give the sim a good sense of what direction the object is turning, so we do 0, 25, 50, and 100. So that's what we're going to do here. The first thing we're going to do, frame 0, is create a rotation key, and we're going to bump over to 25, create a position key, and all these are position keys now. Position key, 75. And you want to try to get right on the numbers, I guess. And actually, you could do it with 3, but you know it's 33 1/3 and 66 2/3, and you can't really do that. And if you want a good smooth animation, you need to have equal things here. Otherwise, you got to figure out precisely how much you want to rotate on each of those keyframes. Otherwise, you have a jerky animation. So this makes it easy, 0, 25, 50, and because we're working with 360 degrees here, and we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 animations to do. If you divide 360 by 4, you get 90 degrees. So we'll rotate 90 degrees for each of the keyframes. So that's what we'll do right here. So we're there, and we're on the rotate tool. We're in local coordinate mode, and we're going to rotate this in the direction that it moves. So we're going to rotate the tire so it turns forward, and I'm keeping an eye on the x-axis at the bottom and flicking up 90 degrees. That's what we're shooting for. Boom, that's done. Move it to the next keyframe and do another 90. And I'm working with limited space here on my desktop, so I'm bouncing my mouse around. And another 90. Sometimes it's, hello, can I get you there? And then another 90, and we'll be done. Alright, that's done. So now you can see that's animated, and it's good. So now we need to go with the animation manager, and we're going to look for a left tire still. Left tire blurred still. There it is. Left tire still key. 0 to 100 tab. And then we're going to create the tag, and then we're going to associate it with the part. Update selected. Okay, that's how you do tires, boys and girls. And really, it's the same thing for props, or prop spinners, if you will. Same deal. You've got a prop spinner that needs to rotate more than 360 degrees, so you animate it 0 to 100 with keyframes at 25, 50, 75. And let's see how I'm doing on time and size of file here. I'm doing okay. So, I don't know what I just did, but it could be scary. Okay, well, we're going to select this spinner, which is called prop0_still, and still, the slow and the blurred all are done exactly the same way. So the idea here is to create your keyframes, of course. Rotation. I don't want to bore you doing this kind of twice on a different part, but I do think it's important that you see it. So it'll be kind of fast. Try to be fast here. It's hard to be fast when you're hunting for keyframes and rotation to a specific number of degrees. But the keyframes are there, and We move it over to the first position, and we are in local coordinate mode. So we're going to rotate in the direction. Interesting. We're going to rotate in the direction of the turn, which is counterclockwise for American prop engines. I think it's counterclockwise for English or European, I'm not sure. And sometimes, there you go. So same way, as you can see, as we did the tire. Another 90 degrees. And another 90 degrees. Sorry about that. There we go. Patience, patience. Relax. Don't squeeze your mouse too hard. Alright, there we go. We've got that animated. So that looks good. Let's go to FS Tools, the Animation Manager, and let's go look for prop 0 still. Oops, passed it up. Prop 0 still. Start and end is 0 to 100. Create it, create the tag, and then attach it to the part. Update selected. Alright, so that's done. Yay. Alright, we're going to do a blade for you. Same kind of deal. I think you're getting the deal. Oh no, we don't have to do anything with the blade because animation wise, because they're already animated. Duh. So all we have to do here is the animation manager. And I actually forgot something. Before we do that, let's go just while we're still on the prop, let's go do the attach tool. Yay, finally get to do it. Okay, what we're going to do here is visibility, because you have 3 sets of props. Prop still, slow, and blurred, and you only want one of them showing at a time, right? So you have to do a visibility tag on these. So you hit the drop-down box here on visibility, and we go looking for the same thing, prop 0 still. Alright, and you say attach to selected geometry, which is the spinner. And that's done. That's how simple it is to use the attach tool. Cool, huh? And let's do one of these. These here parts here, these blades. And since they're already animated, all we have to do is go to the attach point tool and use actually, you don't have to do visibility on that. I'm sorry. Because it is a child of the prop spinner. When the prop spinner goes, the children go, sorry. Alright, but we do have to use the animation manager. We got to call it proper name, lever prop pitch 0 is what I'm looking for. And here somewhere, here it is, lever prop pitch 0. And it's 0 to 100 on keyframes. Did I hit that? Yeah. And we're going to create the attach point, and then we're going to update the part. Boom, got it done. So that's how you do all these things. We basically touched on the concepts of animating all of the non-keyframe standard FS9 animated parts. So that's what that's all about. Alright, so what's next on the list? Let's hide this. And we can hide this now. And let's go back to here. So we got number 5 done. And we've used the animation manager. And of course, we're not going to go through the VC and do the same thing. We use the attach points. We haven't done lights, but lights aren't animated. So really all you have to do on lights is select the primitive or poly that you used for land light or land taxi, and go and open up your attach point tool, select visibility, and scroll down till you find land light or land taxi, and that part's done. So custom XML, we're not going to go through. There's really not much I can show you here that I didn't show in the previous video. So now it's time to create new FSX material. So that means basically at this point in the project, you will have everything animated, all the animation tools done, work done, and all the attach point tool work done. So and of course during this process you're going to be wanting to export and check your animations and make sure you did the animation attachments correctly, and they're rotating in the right direction and all that kind of thing. And then when there's attach points, to make sure those things are going away or coming back when they're supposed to. So when you get I usually do like all the empennage, all the tail section animated parts, and then the wing parts, flaps and ailerons, and then I'll export and go test. And then I'll do the tires and the props, things like that. Then I'll go test to make sure all that stuff's working. You really don't need to do all of these animations and find out at the end you got 20 or 30 problems. I mean, that's frustrating. So fix them as you test them and fix them as you run into them, and it'd be a much nicer process to go through. So now what do we do? Create some FSX materials. Well, how do we do that? Good question. Let's see. Let's first of all, let's unfreeze all this stuff by reselecting it, and then let's unhide. Remember, I told you that when you're creating materials to unhide all, and you don't have to have them really in view. They can be off screen, so it's not creating a render problem or anything like that. That's okay, because you're really going to be working with the material editor and the navigator. Now, for verification, when you go to select parts by material, it's good to show them to verify that they actually got applied, and you selected this show button here on the material editor, this blue and white cube. So I usually keep them showing. If you don't have a lot of stuff going on, that's fine. And so we're back to the list of materials that we have to change. Now, I'm kind of picky as I go through. I say work top down, but I'm not going to mess with the VC stuff right now, so we're just going to go to things that are in the exterior model. And what I really like to do for visibility reasons is work on the big parts, the aircraft skin parts. And if you do that, you can kind of hide them and get them out of the way. Then you can see all the small parts that you're going to work on. So once you get the big parts out of the way, then you can kind of go top down and work through. But you might want to skip the VC side, and the VC part side, like the panel and the panel gauge planers that you display gauges on, and the small parts. Save those things till you get the big parts out of the way. It's just easier to work around when you get the big parts out of the way, and it's easier to see that when you've built the material and applied it, that it's actually being applied to the selected part. So let's get those big parts out of the way. So let's go find fuselage, and then we'll do the wings and tails. We'll do a couple depending on time here. So let's go find fuselage. Let's see, it should be around F somewhere. So here we are, there's easy F. So let's double click this, and that puts it over here in this realm. And we can actually minimize that for now. And I'm going to pull this back in just so you can see it and I can see it. So we're going to recreate an FX texture for the fuselage, and everything that's on the fuselage, which in this case happens to also be the wings and the tails. So good choice, huh? Let's go take a look at this map. It's called Fuse 560, and when you click on it, of course, it's going to tell you where you got that from. This is telling me I got it from a folder called AC Gmax UVW 680. You would think it'd be in the 560 folder, but there's been updates to this over the years, and I merged some of that stuff together. So that's really all we need to know about this at this point. There's some others that you might want to look at properties on, but That's all we need to know is where to go get it. So we're going to go looking in AC Gmax UVW 680 to get that, and what we're going to go get is fuse 560 underscore T. So now that we have that information, we can create a new FSX texture. And how are they differentiated? Well, when you go to create a new material, I meant to say a new FSX material earlier. In FS9, you would say a standard or multi-material. Well, in FSX, you always select Flight Sim X. So we're creating a new Flight Sim X material, and of course, this looks a little bit different because you have more options. So now that we've got the material window up, we can go find that texture. So we're going to click on this diffuse button here to pull up the pathway to get there. Okay, we need to go up to next project, and where's the folder? Here it is, I think. Yeah, UVW 680, there it is. And what we're looking for is fuse 560. So let's scroll over. Got a lot of stuff going on here, and there it is, fuse 560. So we're going to open that, and that loads it into the material editor. And this is what we got. So, and you'll see it here, fuse 560. Just the bad boy we need. And it's got the same path. And you can view it here. And you can see the fuselage, wings, tails, everything is on this one texture. That's a good deal. So let's minimize that. No, not minimize that part. Oh, go back up. I'm sorry. Go back up to the top, and there's some basic standard material selections we're going to do for these exterior textures. So let's just scroll down. We can ignore the stuff and the precipitation stuff and the special functionality. We're going to blend environment by inverse or diffuse alpha, and we're going to use global environment map as reflection. Now, if you're doing military schemes here and you want it flat and without all that stuff, you can actually leave these blank, and that's fine. We can allow bloom on those exterior textures for the people that turn that on in Flight Sim. And for frame buffer blend, we just set default opaque, which is already where it's at. And you can come down here, and you may want to select no base materials specular, because up here you're going to want to add, and I forgot to actually put these textures in the folder, a specular color slot, and you'll go and animate and pick up a copy of fuse 560 underscore T, and you will name it underscore T underscore spec, SPEC .bitmap, and you'll plug that in right here. And then if you're doing bump maps and supporting bump maps, then you'll select this and go select that texture, which will have the identical name, except it will be suffixed with underscore bump. So underscore spec for here and underscore bump for here. I'm sorry I didn't put those in ahead of time. It just never occurred to me. So since I'm not actually going to get those, I'll turn those off. So that's your material settings for your exterior skin. Pretty simple, huh? So now we need to apply it. So let's go to Max Script and Run Script. And we're going to pick up Select by Material. Now what this is going to do is select all the parts that uses this 560 material. So let's see if that'll... This happens on occasion with this. I'm not sure why, but usually you can just run it again. It runs fine. Well, maybe it's going to fuss at me here. Let's see. Let's try something different. Let's try running up to... I've got two levels of this. Sometimes it runs successfully out of here. No, it doesn't. So there's something about this material it doesn't like. Oh, I don't have a part selected. Duh. So Let's select the fuselage. Yeah, I got it. I'm sorry. Misled you there. Misled myself. So we're going to run the select by material. And there, what you should have selected now, if you pull back up the, pull this back down, all the parts that are listed here in Fuse should be selected. And there's probably a decent list of parts here that are mapped on that particular map. So all those parts, it just selected for you, saving you tons of time by not having to manually go find those parts. So if you look through the list here, let's see what we got. You can see all the parts that were selected for you. And now that those parts are selected, and notice we're down into the interior model, it's selected those parts as well because we have them unhidden as well. That's why it's important to unhide both of your models if you have an interior and exterior model. So all those parts are selected, a slug of them. So all we have to do now is apply, and those are done. Well, what happened? Well, we have to click on the show map and viewport. So there they are. And now with that done, we're going to hide them. And look, remember why I said let's start with the big parts first? It makes the little parts easier to get to. And now with that done, we're going to rename this to Fuse 560, just so it's more meaningful to us. It's the same as the texture name. So with that done, you are done with creating an FSX material. So checking time here. We're coming up on an hour, so I'm going to have to break off. So that's how you do the materials. So let's rip back to the deal here. And this talked about how we go through that, and we just went through that process. Hide the parts, we did it. Delete the old one now if you wish. Because I've prefixed them with a ZZ, they all stay at the bottom, they're out of the way. I'm just going to wait to the end to delete those materials. But it doesn't matter. If you want to delete them now, that's fine too. If something goes amiss, you can always merge something in from a previous save, and you're good to go. And of course, I haven't mentioned saves, but when you're doing this process, it takes a lot longer than the hour we just spent on doing what we did. So you're going to be saving all along, hopefully after each group, like you do the tail group, save, do the wing group, save, do the props, save, and then document, just kind of like you're going through the steps here, you know, that you've renamed materials, you've reset scales, saves, set the friendly name, save, gone through this part, animating these parts. Do that as you go through, 15-20 minutes or so. If you got your automatic saves turned on, you're going to get one every 5 or 7 minutes, whatever you have it for. But I usually save between 20-30 minutes, just so I've got a recent fallback. I just want to make sure I do. So of course you're doing this, and you're doing the attach points kind of all at one time. So make sure you get those saves in. And as you're creating materials, after you create 4, 5, 6, 7 materials, do a save and then move on. You don't have to go back and recreate those things. Okay, and you're going to be exporting and testing. So once you've got all those materials done and applied, of course, then you can pull back up your animation manager and scroll to the bottom. You'll see Fuse 560 up here at the top. Notice it says Flight Sim X. That's another way to differentiate your Flight Sim X FSX materials from your FS9 standard and multi-materials. So that's just another good way. You really don't have to go through and rename, but I just want all of these out of my way. I want them grouped and organized out of my way, so I'm not stumbling through them to find, because as you get into this, you're going to find, well, I might want to change this. I think I'll just apply the other texture to it, and then you just drag a material you already created and apply it to the new part that didn't originally have that. Like in this particular project, I used 3 different kinds of blacks in it. Well, I've eliminated 2 of them, and all those are going to get the the black texture. I use black inner and I use black. I usually use these in places where I'm hiding, preventing see-throughs like through the nacelles or engines, whatever, and or in the ends of exhaust pipes or stuff like that. So it's not that important that it's a nice texture. But so I've eliminated two materials and I've eliminated two textures out of my texture folder. So I'm consolidating to one. So things like that. So once you pull these guys up, you can just drag in your black texture. You create it first, and then when you pull these guys up and select all these parts, you can just drag this one over to your material editor and apply it to those parts. So that's just some methods to the madness. So when you're done, you delete all those CZ parts at the end and go through and check, make sure you got nothing but the FSX materials. And well, when you're in transition, you got some of both. You're going to get a message on export that it sees both FS9 and FSX materials. And how do you want it to export? Well, you're going to select FSX, of course. Once you get all those deleted, you obviously no longer see that message, and it'll be a straight FSX export, and it'll all be good. So these are things that I wanted to cover in this video, and gosh, I hope they're helpful, and that you're successful in making your FSX transition and have a lot of fun doing it. I assure you, your aircraft is going to look a lot better, and things go from there. When you get into glass and chrome, you might want to head over to FS Developer. There's some hints and tips over there for setting up glass and chrome materials, and they really make a difference. So I hope this has been really useful to you, and you move forward and continue to provide your products in the FSX world, and as I shall be, and maybe I'll see you out there somewhere sometime. So have a good day, guys, and I appreciate you listening in.